UFC tier list videos. Everyone loves them. I love them. And today we're going to be doing a tier list video on UFC fighters that I miss the most. We're going to be going through a range of UFC fighters that haven't fought in a while, and we're going to be ranking them based on how much we miss them. Very straightforward, nice and simple. We're going to have in the S tier the fighters that we miss the most. We're going to have in the D tier the fighters that we do not miss the most. Simple. We're going to jump straight into it with the first fighter. And you know what? I've already started doing his impression, mate. And we're going to be putting Dricus Du Plessis straight in the S tier, mate. You know why? I haven't heard Dricus Du Plessis by Flying Anvil in a fucking long time. And it's really getting to me at this stage. You know what I mean? Does anyone else have that? Since the Chimaev fight, just shit ain't been the same. And Dricus Du Plessis, he's been living like fucking Patrick Starr. The dude's been under a rock. I haven't heard anything from Dricus in quite some time. You know what I mean? If you're really delving into the socials, you can find a bit on what he's been up to. But in the most part, this guy went from being pretty much an A-list celebrity in the eyes of UFC fans. The memes, the jokes, the fucking headlines. Where's he gone? Where has he gone? I don't know. It's really upsetting me. It's really upsetting me. So we're putting Dricus Du Plessis straight into the S tier. We're putting him, he's cutting the queue. He's cutting the queue. They're letting him in the front barrier and he's walking straight in. We're putting him into the S tier. I really miss Dricus Du Plessis. You know what I mean? He last fought in August of 2025, but it feels like an eternity ago. Am I wrong? Am I wrong? It feels way longer than, how long has it been? August, September, October, November, January, February. We're in February. It's been 5 months. Feels like it's been 5 years. There's genuine fighters on here that haven't fought in 5 years that feels like they've fought more recently than Dricus Du Plessis. I'm tying my words up. I'm getting so heated already. It's the first one. Fuck me. Dricus Du Plessis is going into the S tier. We miss Dricus. Dricus, bro, come back. Honestly, we want to see you back and we want to see you fight. And on the topic of Dricus Du Plessis and his past opponents, we're going to be talking about his most recent opponent, and we're going to be putting him in the complete opposite scenario. Hey, brother, you know, Khamzat Chimaev, what do you want to see me lay on someone for 25 minutes, bro? Smash. I'm not allowing myself to get excited for this guy's return. Do you know why? I'll tell you why. Because we will fall for it again. We'll fall for the trap. And how many times are we going to have to fall for the trap? This is not the same Khamzat Chimaev that fought on Fight Island. It's the same guy, but it's not the same guy. You get me? This guy fights once a year at best. But his most recent fight against Dricus, I think, kind of shocked the masses because people thought it was going to be a lot more even than it actually was. Obviously, we saw basically a repeat performance when Islam Makhachev fought JDM. And a lot of the same backlash happened, dude. People weren't happy with this performance. Once again, I'm going to mention Laura Sanko saying violence is what the UFC are prioritizing in 2026. And this guy is not showing to be violent as of late. And I say as of late, I know previous to the fight with DDP he was. But now, that was 2 years ago almost. Almost 2 years ago. Khamzat Chimaev is inactive. We're not falling for the trap because he comes back. He has a crazy dominant performance, right? And we fall for the trap. We fall in love with him again. Oh, we start planning his next fight. Little do we know, he's not going to fight for another 2 more years. Khamzat Chimaev's going into the D tier for that reason alone. If he was active, if we had an active Chimaev in 2026, the fact that his performance against DDP, or the fact if he had repeat performances similar to that, people wouldn't really give a fuck. If he's active and he's beating everyone, people wouldn't care. But he's not active. His last fight was a snooze fest. And the saying you're only as good as your last fight kind of goes hand in hand with excitement and how excited everyone is to see you return. So Khamzat Chimaev is going straight in the D tier. We're not wasting any more time. We're going to jump on to my favourite fighter. Shout out Max Holloway, because you know what I mean? You're on the same level, dude. Ilia Topuria. Ilia Topuria, yeah? We're putting Ilia straight in the S tier. And the S tier, I know we've got 2 fighters in there at the moment, but there's not as much free real estate in the S tier as you might think just from the start of this video. Ilia Topuria is going straight into the S tier, and I will tell you why. Because storylines equals excitement. And Ilia Topuria, he's got a crazy storyline going into his return. He's got the drama with his wife. He's got the custody battle regarding his children. He's also still the undisputed champion of the lightweight division, the most difficult division in the whole of the UFC. Historically, also the most difficult division in the whole of the UFC. And we've got Ilia Topuria's much anticipated return finally starting to get a bit more traction. We've heard that the court case has been settled between him and his wife. He's now back to 100% uninterrupted training. Back at his gym, his home gym. I know we saw some training videos of him in some dusty Spanish gym prior to his return to his own with the, the Topuria branding on the walls and stuff. But now Ilia's back and he's tweeting, the champion is back. So Ilia's back. He's training 100%, as I said, and the excitement is real. The excitement for Ilia's return is real. Different reasons to the excitement for DDP's return. But Ilia Topuria has got a crazy storyline heading into his return. And myself, I might be a little bit biased because Ilia is my favourite fighter. But I believe that unanimously, we are all super excited for the return of Ilia Topuria. I cannot fucking wait. I cannot wait. Counting down the days. And the second we get an announcement, woo-hoo-hoo-hoo, I'm going to download a calendar app on my phone. I'm going to set that alarm, date, time. And I'm going to be doing, you know what I mean? Back in the day, used to have those like countdown calendars. I'm going to be looking at it every day. And we're going to be moving straight on. We're not going to waste too much time because I'm wasting time on Ilia Topuria when we don't need to waste time because we know he's in the S tier. We know you're excited for him. And we're going to move on to the next one. It's Tom Aspinall. I can't fucking see. Tom Aspinall is another example of a fighter that has a storyline heading into his return, right? Cyril Gane basically blinded him. We've seen the photos. We've seen the photos recently of Tom Aspinall with the red eyes. And we've also seen MMA Joey tweet out saying, oh, this is AI. This is not real. Shut the fuck up. You can sway the opinion of AI based on how you input information, questions, etc. And I saw the way you were messaging it. Dude, I'm not... Just stay in your own lane, brother. To even insinuate that Tom Aspinall's eye poke was fake, you're a twat. Plain and simple. Fucking boomer. Anyway, Tom Aspinall. I'm putting Tom Aspinall in the A tier. Because I'm a sucker for storylines. I love the entertainment side of MMA. The sport is amazing. Competition is amazing. But I really, really love the entertainment side of mixed martial arts. Dude, you know what I'm saying? I was a child. I think part of the reason why I'm so big into the UFC is because growing up, I was big into WWE. I used to love it. And I'm not saying like when I was an adult because... Please. I graduated, all right? I graduated. But when I was a child, dude, I got conditioned. I got conditioned to the drama, the excitement, the storylines. And I craved it. It built up a craving. And this is just another example of it. Tom Aspinall had his eye gouged out by Cyril Gane in his last fight. And we've been getting snippets of how it's been going. His double eye surgery. He's just recovered from another one. As I said, you saw the fucking red eyes that he had. And there's storyline going into his return. Is he going to be able to see? We've heard his coaches are saying that his balance is off. He still hits as hard, obviously, but his balance is off and he can't get his... They're saying these things about Tom Aspinall, and in my mind, all that's building up is, oh my gosh, is he going to be the same? Who's he going to face? Is he going to be chucked straight back into a fight with Cyril Gane? Is he going to get the next... How is this all going to pan out? And to me, that equivalates to excitement. I wouldn't say I'm as excited for Tom Aspinall's return as these two. Personal bias and memeability. should we say. But Tom Aspinall's return is very, very much so anticipated. And I'm super excited. So we're going to be putting Tom Aspinall in the A tier. And we are going to be moving swiftly on to a bit of a throwback. Now, I know we were saying about this is going to be a list of fighters that haven't fought in a while. And these are not all active fighters. Some of these guys have retired. Some of these guys have not fought in years, however, haven't officially retired. This guy has officially retired. And this guy is one of the most well-known retired UFC fighters at this stage. And it's Khabib Nurmagomedov. Now, if we talk about, do I miss this fighter? It's an interesting question because comparatively with the lightweight division at the moment, so Khabib, this is the difference between Ilia and Khabib in my opinion. Ilia is one of my favourite fighters. Khabib was never one of my favourite fighters. However, the similarity that both of those have is that they are and / were the man to beat at the top of the division, the dominant champion. Who's going to be able to do it? Sometimes we have champions where it's like, oh, okay, it's pretty obvious. This is the contender to beat him. In the example of Ilia Topuria and Khabib Nurmagomedov, it's really difficult to pick a surefire guy that is going to beat this guy. There were questions. You know what I'm saying? People were thinking, oh, Tony Ferguson for Khabib. People were saying, Justin Gaethje, maybe. D1 wrestler, bro. And we've got a similar scenario with Ilia where we've got Arman Tsarukyan and we've got the potential super fight with Islam Makhachev, which is another reason why I'm putting Ilia in the S tier, because we might fucking get that fight. I'm not ruling that out. I know we never really get what we want as MMA fans, but I'm not ruling that out. But with Khabib, comparatively, the reason why I don't miss Khabib as much as Ilia at this stage, number one, the likelihood of Ilia returning is 1,000,000% higher than the likelihood of Khabib ever returning. But Ilia is a much more exciting fighter to have at the top of the division. Khabib, when he was on top, we kind of knew what he was going to do. He's going to throw out some farty stand-up. But once he gets you to the ground, it's wraps. And once he gets you to the ground, when he gets you to the ground, because it's not a question of if, it's a question of when. And when Khabib gets you to the ground, what are you going to do? Are you fucked? Or have you got enough in your bag to get yourself out? Are you going to go like Dustin Poirier, jump Gilly, and maybe get something? Never ended up happening, of course. But this is the reason why I'm putting Khabib in the B tier. Because I was never really massively attached to Khabib. His fight style was never really crazy exciting. The hype with the Conor McGregor fight obviously did fucking wonders for his credibility within the sport. But in general, we're putting him B tier because, yeah, he was great, but that ship sailed. And I don't think outside of a certain region of the world, I don't think many people miss Khabib in 2026. I think that ship sailed. So we're putting Khabib in the B tier. Now, when we're talking about guys that could have beaten Khabib, now this is a real niche fighter. And maybe some of you guys aren't going to know this. This absolute mythical beast. It's Gregor Gillespie. Put your hand up if you know who Gregor Gillespie is. There's a few people. Okay, all right, cool. We got some hardcores in the audience. Because Gregor Gillespie was meant to be the guy, bro. Gregor Gillespie was meant to have prime fucking Tony Ferguson on his resume. Fell through. Never happened. He called him out. Didn't get the fight. And Gregor Gillespie, dude. We talk about, and we're going to talk about other what ifs later on in the video. But Gregor Gillespie is a massive what if. Partially memeable because we know obviously he got completely flatlined with a head kick from Kevin Lee. Sat up against the fence like this. You know what I mean? He got memed. He had one fight after that fight against Kevin Lee where he got fucked up. He fought Diego Ferreira. And he won by ground and pound in round 2. But clearly wasn't enough because he has not fought in 5 years. 5 years since. He's now 39 years old. And as I said, if you don't know the lore of Gregor Gillespie, this guy was an incredible wrestler. This guy was just fucking everyone up. He went on something like a 5-fight finish streak in the UFC. Never saw a third round in the UFC. He ended up going 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7-1 in the UFC. And he had so much momentum. Obviously, Kevin Lee kicked the shit out of him. And it all kind of went tits up. But this guy, on his come up, bro, on his come up, was something different. And he was a breath of fresh air within the lightweight division. And it ended too soon. We saw the training videos of Gregor Gillespie. This guy, his training videos were something of legend. His old Gregor Gillespie's training video, pushing himself to the limits, posting it on Instagram. Crazy, crazy interactions. People were loving it. And then he just dropped off the face of the earth. And that's it. We've got no more to say about Gregor Gillespie. He was a massive what if. He was just too old. Too old, and Kevin Lee fucking head kicked him, and then Kevin Lee just went and fucked off and got finished 17 times after that by multiple people. Uncles, granddads, grannies, cats, dogs, fucking gusts of winds. Everyone, you name it. Kevin Lee got finished. Wrapped up Gregor Gillespie and then just went on a fucking downhill spiral. But he put Gregor Gillespie somewhat into retirement. As I said, he fought one time after, but that just wasn't enough. I'm putting Gregor Gillespie in the A tier. I don't miss him as much as Aspinall by any fucking means, but goddamn, I miss Gregor Gillespie, prime Gregor Gillespie, more than Khabib. And we're moving swiftly on to another what if. Arguably a bigger what if, but you know, swings and roundabouts. You choose what side of the fence you want to sit on. Zabit Magomedsharipov. There we go. Boom. I miss Zabit more than Gregor Gillespie. We're putting him in the middle of the A tier. And listen here. Could you imagine, and bear in mind that this guy at this stage is 34 years old, and Zabit hasn't fought since 2019. So he hasn't fought in 6 and a bit years at this stage. But could you imagine the types of matchups that Zabit could get himself into in the featherweight division? Could you imagine Zabit versus Gene Silva? I have dreams about that fight. I genuinely had a dream about that fight the other day, and it's partially the reason why I'm making this video today. Could you imagine Zabit Magomedsharipov versus Gene fucking Lord Silva? That's cinema. I would fucking give my left arm for it. I'd sell my left arm to see Zabit versus some of these guys. Could you imagine Zabit, prime Zabit versus prime fucking Volk? Any of them. You know what I mean? Zabit versus Yair Rodriguez, Zabit versus, you name it. Arnold Allen versus Zabit Magomedsharipov. God damn, the reason why I miss Zabit so much, it's not storyline driven like some of these other guys. It's not even necessarily skill driven. It's because he's shown one of the big glowing weaknesses in Zabit's game was always his gas tank. Oh, he gets tired, but he was doing fucking somersaults on the fucking gate. You know what I mean? You watch this vein up here, boys. It's going to go in a minute. Dude, part of the reason why I really, really miss Zabit is because of the stylistic matchups that could be going down today. He's not that old. The stylistic matchups that could be going down today amongst some of the other featherweight fighters. Pure cinema. And that is my only reason. Just because of how much I would want to see some of those fights. I will be praying in the afterlife that I can see a fucking... Dude, once AI... We've seen all the videos on Twitter. John Jones versus Alex Pereira. Ilia versus Islam. Dude, once AI becomes capable of showing me Zabit Magomedsharipov versus Gene Lord Silva, I will die a happy man. I will genuinely die a happy man. And we're going to be putting him in the middle of the A tier. We might be moving him. We might be. I don't know at this stage. We're going to be moving on to another fighter. Another fighter who, if you squint your eyes, kind of looks a little bit like a light bulb. You know what I mean? Full-on jelly bean head. We've got Kai Kara France. You know what I mean, guys, eh? That's not how he speaks, but that's how, in my brain, that's how New Zealand people sound. You know what I mean, cuz? I want to get back into the flyweight division, cuz, and fucking get some wins, We're putting... I mean, he's alright. I think this is a very mid-level ranking in terms of how much I miss Kai Kara-France. I'm putting him in the C tier, and I'll tell you why. He's not a boring fighter. I've just said he looks like a light bulb, but it's nothing personal. It's nothing personal at all. He's a relatively exciting fighter, you know what I mean? It's like finish or be finished, for the most part. I mean, when was the last time that he went to a decision? It was against Tyson Nam in 2020. You know what I mean? His last fight was June last year against Pantoja. Obviously, he got choked out. But this guy's an exciting fighter, and he's an exciting fighter in the flyweight division. He's called Don't Blink for a reason. Because if you blink, you're going to open your eyes, and he's either going to be unconscious or his fucking opponent's going to be unconscious. Looking up at the lights, all dazed and confused. What the fuck's going on? So we're going to be putting Kai Kara-France in the C tier just because at the moment flyweight's pretty exciting. We don't need bro in the flyweight division to reshuffle it up or to make it all of a sudden exciting, because we've got the storyline with Josh Van, we've got the storyline of Pantoja. When is he going to return? Who's he going to face? What's going to happen? Is he ready to go yet, or is he not? We're going to get onto Pantoja in a little minute. But Kai Kara-France is not... He's not as imperative to the flyweight division as some other faces might be if they weren't to be fighting at the moment. So we're not wasting any time on this. We're putting Kai Kara-France high C tier, still missing more than Chimaev. I was a fan of you, Chimaev. I was a fan of Chimaev. I loved Chimaev. Loved with a D. Not the DDP. I was a fan of Chimaev. Not anymore. Anyway, whatever. Kai Kara-France is going in the C tier. We miss him. Next up, we shall be moving on to Yaroslav Amosov. And in actual fact, I'm probably going to have to shrink this down a little bit because we've got more fighters that are going to go into the old A tier. Yaroslav Amosov, I miss him more than Khabib. Comfortably. Not really quite on the level of Gregor Gillespie just yet. Yaroslav Amosov pulled off one of the fucking sexiest submissions against Neil Magny last year that I have seen in a long time. And it was his second anaconda choke in a row. I'm not gonna... Shut the fuck up. Talking about connected to the internet. I don't care. We don't need the internet for tier lists. We'll do tier lists without the... ADHD is taking a swing at me right now. Okay. Back to it. Yaroslav Amosov. We're putting him high B tier and or low A tier. But we're going to leave some room in the A tier for some other faces that we might be coming across in a little while. Now, Yaroslav Amosov, he's fought once in the UFC. He's fought once in the UFC, he fought Neil Magny, and he choked him out via anaconda choke in round 1. In an incredibly beautiful display of grappling prowess. And he left me wanting more. We talk about storylines. Another storyline, this guy's from Ukraine. And I don't know if you guys have seen the video, but this guy went back to war-torn Ukraine, found his old house fucking filled with rubble. Filled with rubble. This guy fished out his Bellator World Championship belt and he took it back home with him. This guy went for a search and rescue mission for his belts. Now, if that ain't aura, I don't like throwing out the word aura too much. I think it's a little bit cringe. But if that ain't aura, I don't know what is. Yaroslav Amosov, I'm so excited for his return. Because he's still young in the game as well. It's not like he's some old has-been where the UFC have just signed him too late. He's 32 years old. And he's going to be 33 in September. This guy's in his prime. This guy is 29-1. This guy's 29-1. And he hasn't fought cans. He might have fought cans at the beginning of his career, but he hasn't fought cans. If you look at his opponent's records, he's been given tough matchups, or as tough as they can give him in the respective organizations that he's been fighting in. And now he's in the UFC, he's in the big leagues, and we're going to throw some fucking heat at him. And I think he swims. I'm super excited for the return of Yaroslav Amosov. Super excited for the return. We're going to be moving straight on to the next fight that we're going to be talking about. I previously briefly sort of brushed upon it. A lot of B's in that sentence. We've got Alexandre Pantoja. Alexandre Pantoja. And you know what? Sorry, Gregor. We are putting Alexandre Pantoja mid-range A tier. Storyline, once again, a lot of these options are driven by the storyline, the return, what's coming into the return, the ramifications. Alexandre Pantoja at some point is going to be returning, and the likelihood is, because of how he's performed in the UFC to date, the likelihood is that this guy is going to get thrown into a world championship fight. Now, whether that's Josh Van, whether that's Tatsuro Taira, or whether that's Manel Kape, I think these are probably the three most viable options at the moment, right? Whether it's one of these guys, it's a fight where it's fairly even. Alexandre Pantoja is a well-rounded fighter. He's a specialist in the grappling department. Tatsuro Taira versus Alexandre Pantoja is a barn burner, because the grappling will cancel each other out. Then what happens? We saw Tatsuro Taira kind of fall to Brandon Royval after the fucking grappling was negated in their fight. So that's a compelling matchup. Pantoja versus Josh Van. We've already seen part 0.5 of that fight. And we saw Pantoja injure his arm, dislocate his elbow or his shoulder. We don't fucking know. We still haven't fucking heard. We have heard. I just don't have it to hand. So there's a storyline there. The build-up. You know what I mean? What happened in the first fight? Was he actually going to lose the first fight? Or was he going to come back and win? What happened? It was over too soon. We can't tell. There's a storyline there. There's a storyline with the Tatsuro Taira one. Just purely based on old fighter versus new fighter. How's that going to go? It works the same with Josh Van. And also Manel Kape. Manel Kape, in my opinion, probably has the best... Has one of the best chances of beating Pantoja. Purely because of the speed. Purely because of the speed. And I mean, we've just seen what he did to Royval. He just flashed him. And the question is, can he do that to Alexandre Pantoja? We don't know. We don't know until Alexandre Pantoja returns. But we've got three variables. We've got three variables for Pantoja to potentially come back to. And the questions have already started brewing. We've seen Pantoja put out training videos. We know he's coming back sooner than we originally thought. And divisionally, his return has massive, massive implications at flyweight. Because he's going to go straight into a title fight. This is not just some lower ranking guy that's going to come in and hopefully work his way back up. We don't know that. What we do know is that this guy's going to come back to a title fight. This guy, win or lose, is going to massively impact the fucking scope of the division. Which is why I'm super excited for that. So we're going to be putting Pantoja in the A tier, confidently. And we're going to be moving straight on to the next fighter, who hasn't fought in a little while, that I wanted to touch on. It's our boy Aaron Pico. Now, Dana White is probably feeling a little bit indifferent about this fellow, because the idea was for him to come in, fight Lerone Murphy, beat Lerone Murphy, fight Volk. You know what I mean? Before the shit show matchup of Diego Lopez versus Alexander Volkanovski 2. Why did they do that? I don't know why they did that. I do know why they did that. They wanted a fun matchup. They knew that they would get a good fight out of it, but I mean, it basically went exactly the same fucking way as the first fight, as we all saw recently. Now, the idea originally, the unofficial idea, was that Aaron Pico was going to beat Lerone Murphy, get the Volk fight, and we might see some fresh blood at the top of the featherweight division. And then, boom, Aaron Pico hasn't fought anyone. So Aaron Pico can fucking fight everyone. And we can throw Aaron Pico. We can throw everyone at Aaron Pico. And boom, featherweight has been regenerated. Didn't go that way. Aaron Pico ate a spinning elbow. Aaron Pico woke up in the hospital with a concussion. But I tell you what, dude. I tell you what, Aaron Pico looked mighty, mighty fine, mighty, mighty good, and mighty, mighty skilled before that finish happened. He's a fighter that his record doesn't really reflect how good he is. People say that like a fucking broken record. He's 13-5. You know what I mean? But Aaron Pico looked good in his fight against Lerone Murphy, and he looked exciting enough for me, in my opinion. Forward pressure. He was marauding. Problem is with marauders, as we saw with Gene Silver, is that it can eat a spinning elbow as they follow in, and it can be curtains for them. But yeah, Aaron Pico was exciting enough for me in that fight against Lerone Murphy for me to get excited about his next fight. And I am super excited about his next fight because featherweight can always do with new, fresh faces. I'm excited for Aaron Pico's return. Nothing else really more to say. We're putting him in the B tier. We're going to be moving straight on to the next fighter. Kind of a bit of another light bulb head, right? You know, once that fucking hairline starts fucking... You know, I've got mine covered. But once that... Dude... You get the light bulb exposed. And Colby Covington, we're going to put Colby straight next to the other light bulb in Kai Kara France. Because Colby, in my opinion... I think for the most part, people will be excited for Colby to return, or people miss Colby because of the way he talks. Now, if Colby Covington in big old 2026 didn't know how to cut a promo, I'm not going to necessarily say no one would. Would you miss him? Would you miss Colby Covington in 2026, February 2026? If you didn't think this guy was going to come back and say some crazy shit on the mic about someone's dead dad or someone's fucking cutting real deep in terms of the trash talk, if he wasn't doing that, I don't think anyone would care. And that's just not good enough anymore. That's just not good enough for me anymore anyway. I don't know about you. Can't speak for anyone else watching this, but that's not good enough for me at the moment. Colby Covington's return would purely be around, oh yeah, but imagine the press conference, bro. Like, people were talking about Colby versus Conor at the White House. I heard nothing about the matchup itself, dude. Everyone was just saying, oh yeah, but imagine the press conference. Okay. So for half an hour on a fucking Thursday of fight week, we're going to be like, wow, this is so exciting. And then what? You get a face-off and it's like, oh, okay. They faced off. Now what? Now it's fight time. Okay. I don't want to say that we've got a new piss break, because I wouldn't do that to my fellow fellowhoods. But dude, Colby's fights as of recent are just fucking boring. You know what I mean? They just are. Got beaten by Joaquin Buckley. Doctor Stoppage. Got beaten by Leon Edwards, and that fight was fucking boring. Fought George Masvidal. The main thing going into that one was the storyline. Goes hand in hand with what I was saying about the other fighters. The storyline was there. This is exciting. These guys used to be best friends. Now they hate each other. The fight was pretty boring. And if anyone even mentioned a rematch, you know what I mean? You know what I mean? Oof. No one would give a fuck. This guy's whole appeal at this stage in his career, he's old. You know what I mean? He's old. He's 37 years old. He's not exciting anymore. His time for excitement was the Kamaru Usman versus Colby Covington era timeline. That's over. And so is my excitement for Colby's return. I'm putting him in the C tier. Low C tier. Low C tier at this stage. And we're going to be moving straight on to the next fight that we're going to be talking about. And that is... I mean, I was slandering Colby for being old, but this motherfucker's old, and let me just tell you. Wonder Boy. Wonder Boy. Oh, dude. Wonder Boy walking out with Tenacious D. I don't know if you guys are big Tanakh fans, but I watched The Pick of Destiny quite some years ago. And that has a very, very prominent place in my heart, that movie. So, big fan of Tenacious D. Big fan of Stephen Wonderboy Thompson. One thing to note, These old dudes that do karate, Raymond Daniels, Stephen Thompson, MVP. There's a bunch of guys. I know MVP is not necessarily pure karate, but these older guys that throw punches and throw kicks as their primary form of attack. Dude, they can just go and go and go. Stephen Wonderboy Thompson, his last fight was summer of last year against Gabriel Bonfim, but that was a split decision. And that was against a young guy. Talking about passing of the guard. The guard almost didn't get fucking past in that one. I know he's on a 3-fight losing streak, but he's lost to Shavkat, he's lost to Joaquin Buckley, and he's lost to Gabriel Bonfim. All ranked fairly decently in the welterweight division. And before that, he had the fight with Kevin Holland that made them do the fucking advert that everyone's sick and tired of seeing. Oh, gee, thanks, Stephen. You know what I mean? But that was a banger fight. Kevin Holland broke his arm in that fight. Stephen Thompson literally kicked the shit out of him in that fight. That was a sick fight. One of my favourite fights in recent memory was the Kevin Holland versus Stephen Wonderboy Thompson. And do you know what? I miss him way more than Pico. I miss him way more. I'm starting to low-key regret putting old Gregor Gillespie up there, but we're going to move with it. I miss him more than Khabib. I do. I miss Wonderboy Thompson. I love Wonderboy Thompson. I'm a Wonderboy Thompson enjoyer. Not as much as Amosov at this stage. I like Wonderboy more than Amosov, but I don't miss him as much purely because of when Amosov returns, dude, the division, they're going to be fucking, the knees are going to be like this. You're going to be trembling because of this guy. We are putting Wonderboy Thompson high B tier. Never has a boring fight. Has a wealth of experience. Stephen Wonderboy Thompson's never done us wrong. He's never done us wrong. He's a unanimously liked guy. The NMF, the nicest mother effer. Fans made him a custom belt. Stephen Thompson he can't do no wrong in my opinion. All round great guy. And the storyline in this is just that this dude's fucking awesome and likable. We're putting Stephen Thompson mid to high B tier. We miss him more than Khabib at this stage. And I know I was talking about Colby and Conor recently, and we're going to be moving straight on to, you know what I'm talking about, mate, yeah? Conor McGregor, like. I'm super excited for his return, but the thing is, we just never know when he's going to fucking return, like. That's what I mean, like. I think it's a similar situation to Chimaev, but the difference is with Chimaev, it's a bit more of a hate-filled fall for the trap. We're always falling for the McGregor trap. How many times do you see on Twitter, dude, oh, McGregor's really returning this time, boys? He's not. And it's hard because when he does fight, it's like, this is cool. But after 25 minutes, dude, if that, we ain't going to see bro for another 10 years. And that's just how it's always been with McGregor. But one thing that I want to say, right, with Conor McGregor, it's almost like we have blinkers when it comes to Conor McGregor. It's almost like we have blinkers because how are we going to act like... We're posting... Dude, even me, I'm falling for this as well. I'm posting McGregor's training videos. Oh, McGregor's back. Stop resisting. Stop resisting. We're posting these videos acting like we didn't see Conor McGregor's wood a few months ago. Like, we just have we have a incredible sense of goldfish memory when it comes to Conor McGregor. A vast majority of MMA fans saw McGregor hanging a weight off of his knob on Twitter a matter of months ago, and now he starts doing a bit of grappling and everyone's excited again, me included. It's like we just forget it. We just forget it. I am more excited to see the return of McGregor than the return of Amosov. Am I? Yeah, I am, just because of the spectacle. Amosov's going to show up, handle business, and just look sick doing it, and move up in the rankings, and genuinely threaten the title. McGregor's return is... We talk about things being story-based. You know what? What the fuck am I doing? What the fuck am I doing? I miss McGregor more than Gregor Gillespie. Battle of the Gregors. McGregor wins this one. I'm more excited for Pantoja's return. because of storyline, ramifications in the division, and a handful of other criteria that goes into that. McGregor's return is basically purely storyline driven. The legacy of Conor McGregor. This guy is the biggest name in our sport, and he's returning against who? And a lot of the time, that is just the way that it goes with McGregor. Every time McGregor teases a return, the fucking fans go nuts. Fans get super excited, and in my opinion, that gets him a direct place in the A tier. There's not really much else to say about this. Is he going to return at the White House? It seems like he's the actual genuine option. As I said, we've seen the training videos. McGregor might be coming back to the White House, and that adds to the excitement. McGregor at the White House is exciting as fuck, and it automatically gets him a spot in the A tier. We're putting McGregor in the A tier, and we're going to be moving swiftly on to the last fighter in this list that we're going to be talking about. And that is Shavkat Rakhmonov. Now, I'm really worried about this guy, because it's like we almost haven't even had an opportunity to miss him yet, because it seems like just as we were getting excited to get this guy back, boom, he's ruined his leg again, and he's going to be out for another 10 months. At what stage do we start missing this guy? Or what stage do we start getting excited for a potential return? Because right now, it's fucking blurry vision. No one knows. They say 10 months. But is this guy going to return? You know, we've seen Zabit walk away from the sport with an incredible record. Record alone don't mean shit when it comes to, oh, this guy has to return. I don't know if Shavkat's going to return. And if he does return, the likelihood is that he's going to return against a fairly well-known, recognisable name in the welterweight division that is probably on a streak. Because why would you give Shavkat a can coming back? The UFC don't tend to operate in that way unless they're specifically building up fighters. And I just don't see that happening with Shavkat. I genuinely don't see that happening with Shavkat. I would say at this stage, I miss Shavkat more than I miss Khabib. Because of, once again, the ramifications of what happens when he comes back. Now, the storyline going into this one is when Shavkat returns against one of these highly touted welterweights, is ring rust going to be a factor? We saw Shavkat get into a pretty sticky situation with Ian Garry, and I'm not throwing petrol onto that fire. Ian Garry is wrongly doing a parade of, oi, you know, I gave Shavkat the injury that made him fucking sit out all that time, yeah? Shavkat Rakhmonov. So Ian Garry, I'm not condoning his behaviour, but we saw Shavkat get put into a pretty tricky situation when it came to Ian Garry. So who's to say after a wee bit of ring rust, I know Dominic Cruz doesn't believe in it, but who's to say after a little bit of ring rust, we don't see Shavkat get put into a situation where, dude, this guy got all finishes, bar one. This guy is a marauder. This guy is an absolute Terminator. Boom, you get thrown back in against Joaquin Buckley in the future. You know what I mean? And maybe it doesn't go your way, brother. Maybe it doesn't go your way, brother. You know what I mean? It's just so strange that a guy who is 19-0, a guy that is 31 years old, has just been sidelined injury after injury after injury. I don't know what this guy's been doing during his training sessions, but he's just been nuking all of his fucking body parts. So we've got Shavkat sat out for another 10 months, and I just can't... How am I meant to miss this guy? Especially when the welterweight division is moving on. We've got a new face at the top. Shavkat versus Islam was always super excited, but now... Islam's probably going to be retired by the time that Shavkat returns. I miss Wonderboy Thompson more than Shavkat Rakhmonov. I'm saying it. I'm saying it. And I mean it. I really do mean it. We have no other choice to put Shavkat in the B tier. I don't have an opportunity to miss him yet. Because there's not a massive gap in the market at welterweight for him. There's shit that's happening. Michael Morales is about to get a title shot. Ian Garry's there. The only asterisk is Shavkat. Then we might miss him a bit more if Ian Garry becomes the top dog. Oh yeah, but there was once upon a time there was a guy that beat him. And he beat him. Do you know what I mean? The conversations will arise, but until that happens, do you miss Shavkat? Because I don't at this stage. Give it some time and he might be able to move up a little bit. But right now, this is where we're putting him. We're putting Shavkat in the B tier. And that is going to do it for today's video. This is my tier list on the fighters that I miss the most. Or in the case of this do not miss. Let me know if you agree with any of my picks. Let me know if you disagree with any of my decisions. Or just leave a comment to say who you would add to this list. Who else do you miss? Who would you add to this list that I haven't included? But yeah, thank you very much for watching this video. I appreciate your time. If you've made it this far, thank you very, very much. I hope you're having an amazing day. I hope you have an amazing day from this point forward. And I will see you in the next one. Goodbye.